this again. Here we go. See, YouTube is green. Hello, here we go again. Take two of the, here we go again. And I'm still not seeing, it's still not coming up. Let me refresh this page here. There we go. Okay, so apparently I am back. I am live, and my glasses are filthy. Wouldn't you know it? Anyway, yeah, I've been very prepared for this. So anyway, here we are, live, and right now 0 watching. I hope you get this. Try this again. Keep coming back. Keep trying it. If you were watching it before, I hope you're back. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move on. And as I was saying, last night, I thought that the internet connection was working. It wasn't. So I went ahead and just recorded the show. Today, I went and did some tests here. And one of the tests that I did, just to see if it was going to work or not, was I used my laptop, which is what we're streaming with right now, hooked both cameras up to it, and fed out a live signal. And it worked. That worked beautifully. Took the cameras over to the main computer and put those on there, and they streamed and didn't have any problems. Put the cameras back on, tried to stream off of the computer that was set up for the streaming, and it died. So obviously the problem, as I posted, the fault lies not in the stars but in ourselves. And that means that streaming is the problem. And I was afraid of that. There's Bruce. Bruce Higdon. Isn't being a crackpot a prerequisite to being a cartoonist? Well, it certainly hasn't hurt me, and it is following in a long line of other crackpots that I have gotten to know from the NCS, including a certain one from Nashville, Tennessee. No names. And there's James. No, he doesn't have to be nice, James, because he is the fearless leader. So that's boy, that's a long story. Anyway, okay, so my two viewers from last night are back. Hi, guys. Look, it's working. It's actually working. The setup is not, like I said, exactly what I want, but I'll get around to it. Problem turned out to be that the streaming computer just doesn't have the horsepower to do live video encoding and streaming at the same time, and all of that. Because these two computers, the ones that did work, both of those have got i7s in them. Even though they're 5 years old, they're much more powerful than the streaming computer, the Hackintosh, which has a quad core 2. So I mean, it's just, it was a horsepower problem. So there we are. So anyway, all right. So two viewers. That's hey, at least it's two more than I have any right to. So thank you guys for showing up, and so here we go. Oh, another bit of news. It looks like I might be in a show. Might have a comic book show. It's not official yet. I'm waiting for the check to clear before I make any final announcements, but I'm hoping that will be happening here soon. Okay, so I'm going back to. I'm just going to go and start inking again. That's what I'm going to. That's what I did last night, and I'm going to actually just kind of pick up where I left off. and be happy to answer any questions, take any questions that you may have. And so anyway, here we go. Please ask questions, because otherwise it's going to get kind of quiet in here. Because basically, I already, went over, talked about what I was doing here. Yes, last time. So I really would appreciate questions from either one of you. And I'm getting a health stream warning again. Let's see what it's saying here. Hold on a second. Let me check this. Check resolution. It doesn't like... I don't know why it doesn't like the resolution, because it was liking it earlier today. Doesn't seem to be... Let's see. Seriously, how is it looking from y'all's point of view? Is the video stuttering? Is the video breaking up? Yes. The greater pressure you apply, what happens is it pushes. The question for those of you playing at home is the greater. James is asking, the greater pressure you apply, the more to the nib, the more ink is released. Is that how it works? Yes. The nib actually kind of spreads apart, and that allows more ink flow to go, and it makes for a wider line, and that's one of the advantages of a nib brush, or a brush for that matter, or a brush pen, is that being able to vary the width of the weight of the line, as opposed to a felt tip pen or something like that, where you don't have that kind of control. But it takes practice to know how your hand handles it, and how your hand, and how the pen, and each nib works differently. I mean, they each have a different feel. So but as I said, that's what I love about these nibs, is that level of control. Because the same pen, I can get a very thick line that can taper off. Sound is a little muffled. Yeah, I'm not really doing any kind of equalization at this point. I think some of that has to do with, yikes, I just hit the microphone. I think some of that has to do with not being directly on the axis, because I'm kind of talking sideways into the microphone, so that I can draw and talk at the same time. I lose my glasses here. Because YouTube right now is kind of complaining about the quality of the stream. It's not liking the resolution, which I'm sending out 1080, and So I was just curious about the quality of it. Right now, the microphone is not running through any kind of equalization or going through any processing. I mean, I would prefer it to go through a compressor, but I don't have one, so I have to just make do with what I got. So besides, audio for me has always been a tricky thing. Even when I was working in radio, it was like, this is some weird black magic going on here with audio. Because with video, the video part of it, I could see it. I could see it. I can, I understand what doing, this kind of processing does to it. Audio is just kind of out there, and yeah, I knew what you meant, James. I knew. I mean, we say bass. We spell it bass, but it's bass. I know. Oh, bug. What is that? Where are you coming from, bug? Go away. But yeah, audio has always been kind of a weird part of it that it's like, okay, we got audio. If I've got a signal, then I'm doing good with audio. I don't really deal with trying to process it or anything like that, because I just end up making it worse, and so I don't really deal with it. So, and this microphone, it's not, I mean, it's a good microphone. It's not bad, especially when you consider, it was $40, but it was $40. So, I'm not expecting it to sound like a nice Electro Voice RE20. But then again, it didn't cost $500 like a nice Electro Voice RE20. I'm so glad I got rid of Alex's mullet. Man, I'm so glad. That was a rookie mistake. Yeah, definitely. Definitely a rookie mistake. It just didn't come out the way that I had intended it to. Gave me some fodder for material, though. But all right, keep them coming. I think one thing I need to do is get some get them. I thought about it, but I didn't think about it until it was way too late. The music that I dropped in on the earlier versions, the pre-recorded versions of this, so that there's not these big things of silence. Of course, if it was up to me, I would just, put on a Weird Al album, but Weird Al's lawyers might not appreciate that too much. And certainly YouTube's wouldn't. The last thing I want to do is get flagged for a copyright violation, so. the music that I had used previously is public domain. So, hey, we've been on the air for 15 minutes now, at least in this iteration of it. I'll try and get better about connecting all these little segments in here, because the plugin that I'm using to the Photoshop plugin to flat the colors in. Good. I'm glad the video's going good. Kathy Geisway, there are a lot worse people to have as your muse. My first Rubens, Kathy hosted a get together at at her house, where she invited all the folks from the NCS over. We loaded up on a bunch of buses, and we all went over to her house in Studio City. And she's got this great place in Studio City. It's down at the end of a street, and it's huge. California land. The land is so expensive out there, and she's got this huge place. I mean, it would be huge for Georgia. It's that big, and it's in the middle of Studio City. And she's got a pool and a pool house and a tennis court, which is where. We had Mexican food, as I remember, and I got to meet Stan Freberg at her house. But she opened up her house to all of us and let us go through her house, and she's always been so. I've only talked to her a couple of times personally. She's always been just a very, very nice person. And it was so gracious of her to open up her house to a bunch of reprobates like us. And actually, it was only about 20 minutes from beautiful downtown Burbank. And that's another thing. When I went out there, my girlfriend, Carrie, late Carrie O'Day, she I had just gotten into the NCS less than a month before, and she burned up a whole bunch of frequent flyer miles in order to get me out there, and she was wonderful. I miss her dearly. But we went to I flew into Burbank Airport, which, if you've never flown into Burbank Airport is great. I love Burbank Airport. Because there are no jetways, so you walk out across the tarmac to your plane, and you go up the stairs like you used to back in the 60s. It was great. They opened the door, and the smell of kerosene, of the aviation fuel, just flooded into the cabin. It was wonderful. I loved it. And but anyway, we went. We went to beautiful downtown Burbank, and yeah, I know. Anyway, and I had to explain to her the joke about beautiful downtown Burbank. Is where this is going. She didn't know about beautiful downtown Burbank. She didn't. She's not that much older than me. But she was just old enough to have missed Laugh-In, and I had to explain about Gary Owens and Laugh-In and beautiful downtown Burbank, and look that up in your Flunk and Wagnalls and nothing makes something funny unfunny like having to explain it. Because you bet your sweet Bippy had been a catchphrase in my family. My father used to say that all the time, and then having to explain it takes all the fun out of it. So I had to explain. But beautiful downtown Burnbrack actually is beautiful. It's a very nice town. They've revitalized the town and everything. So beautiful downtown Burbank actually is. And yes, I would know better than to explain a joke because I've killed more jokes than Cecil B. DeMille. And actually, that's a line from Blazing Saddles. I must have killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille. A great movie. Yeah, says the guy explaining a Blazing Saddles joke. Yeah, I know. By the way, the guy that's giving me all kinds of grief about explaining jokes is the guy who created the character that I'm inking right now. That was a long time ago. All right. 22 minutes in, and we're still on the air, so that's a good sign. I do appreciate you signing on, watching, and through all of these teething pains here. What do you mean we're young and stupid? Well, young anyway. Some things never change. The young part certainly has, but anyway. I'm trying to connect all the lines there. All right, let that dry so that I don't, which I went ahead and did. Oh, brother. Oh, bother. Good grief. Yes, welcome to the Old Fart Television Network, James. Talking about Laugh-In and Blazing Saddles, both circa 1973, right? Wouldn't you know it? In demonstrating what I didn't want to have happen, I actually made it happen. Now, when I scan this, I'll go in Photoshop and paint that out. So. But it's the very thing that I was trying to avoid happening. Oh boy. So, all right, I need to try and clean that off my hand because otherwise it will end up staining again. And this probably isn't the best way to clean this stuff, to clean India ink off of you. Oops, sorry about that. But I found it works. Glass cleaner. Makes your hands smell like ammonia, but it does make the does clean the India ink off very nicely. There. There we go. Now I just got to keep my hand out of the wet ink, and that won't be a problem anymore. So, yeah, especially if their brain belongs to somebody named Abby something, right, Tom? Abby Normal, something like that. Yes, another Blazing Saddles joke. No, the Young Frankenstein. I knew that. What? Why did I say it was Blazing Saddles? Good grief. Good grief. Now, talking about that thing with Kathy, Bruce, did you go to that? Were you at that Rubens? I think you were. I want to say that you were. 2009 in Los Angeles, Hollywood. Yeah, I know. Probably the latency on this is really, really bad. I think you're running about a minute behind me here. And, oh, it was? I haven't, it's been a long time since I saw The Man with Two Brains. Speaking of Young Frankenstein, Netflix just added it, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. So, yeah, I think we definitely need to have some music playing in the background here as I go. And definitely maybe have a like you suggested, Tom, a lapel mic, a lav as a. Was what I wanted to do was, and I saw, there's a YouTube video series Australian guy named Jazza. We'll talk about an Australian name, and he does a series called Draw with Jazza. And he's drawing, and he's using a mic like this, and You know what? This pen is getting a little too crusty. So what I need to do is I need to clean this thing off. And again, we'll go back to the paper towel and Windex. And actually, since I'm cheap, it's Publix brand, so just as good. And as you see, oops, the nib came out. As you can see here, that's one thing about a nib pen is that there will be a residue left on there as you dip it, and that residue will build up, and it will cause you to kind of lose the control over the line. That's why these lines here are much thicker than I really would have liked. So a little application of window cleaner, and a lot of gunk later. It's mostly clean. This will go back overnight in the soak. But I now have much more control back over and as I've noted quite a few times in this sequence, Sam is being drenched by rain because she was complaining about not having any water, so Lenny is obliging her, and that will be added in post-production. With Photoshop. So no, we'll save it in post are the famous last words, not we'll add it in post. Although most movies these days, it's we'll add it in post because they've shot everything on a green screen. But just a moment ago, I hauled up here the bottle from Publix, and y'all don't have Publix. Bruce does because he lives up in the Nashville area, and they have Publix up there. I gotta say, I love Publix. The packaging for their store brand stuff. They've got the best packaging for their store brand stuff because there's this consistency. Let me see. Oh yeah, here. This is the cough syrup that keeps me from hacking my lungs up. As you can see, there's a consistent design language between the two of them, where they have all of this white space, which is always nice. Store brand packaging tends to be, it looks really cluttered. I mean, if you go and look at, the store brands from, say, Walmart, their stuff looks like somebody just sneezed in Illustrator. Publix has got this consistent design where they have all this white space. Usually there's a little picture of some sort in here. Then they've got this color bar up here. And it's a different, and as you can see, it's actually a color that's appropriate to the product, with the Publix logo right there in the center. It's just nice, clean. Yeah, it's branding, but it's done right. It's just a consistent design between them, and everything, the label on the ground beef has this same design. So you look at it and that's the Publix store brand, and that's one of the reasons why I like Publix. I just like Publix from a design point of view. It's just fantastic the way they do it. They really pay attention to that, and so there's my ad for Publix. It was not intended at all, but it's just so unusual to see design taken into consideration for something like store brands in a store. Most store brands don't really, that I've seen, don't take advantage of that. Don't pay attention to it. It's not a consideration. And I never, we didn't get Aldi's until a few years ago in Georgia, and I've never really gone to them. I really, when I go to a grocery store, I want to be served. I don't want to be the bag boy. Publix, and that's another thing about Publix is great, is that they insist on bagging the groceries, and they insist on taking it out there. And they insist on not taking a tip. They will not allow you to tip them for that. And it's just part of the customer service aspect of it. And Publix is very well known for that. Whoops, there's nothing there. That's a magic globe. There's no sand in the magic globe. And Tom, don't you say a word. Don't you say a word. Because I know you're thinking. I know you're thinking it. Hey, who was it that came up with? It wasn't you that came up with the phrase "magic globes," was it, Tom? I can't remember if it was or not. I mean, I know where it came from. It came from the end of the Watch crossover, but I don't remember who it was that actually coined the phrase. I know it wasn't me. I know I didn't do it. I don't know if it was you or if it was Idaho Bob that did it. Yep, that's right. When at the very end of it, and Alex and Lenny were arguing. But I can't remember who actually said that phrase for the first time in our discussions. We were talking. I got him. I got the fly. Yay! I killed the fly. Lucky me. I'm the master of all around me. I think Plain Brown Rapper. Yeah, I think Plain Brown Rapper came after that. I remember when that was when that happened. Um, well, speaking of bad movie reboots, killed in one fell swoop, but maybe The Mummy did that too. Been hearing horrible reviews of The Mummy. Because Universal was trying to launch a movie franchise universe. Because hey, if Disney has one and Warner's has one, we got to have one too. Oh yeah, I know. You know, they tried to launch that Dark Universe thing earlier with a Dracula movie, and they said, "Oh no, that's not it. It's this one, the Mummy." But I've heard that it tanked bad at the box office this weekend, or when it opened. So. Yes, Hollywood did run out of ideas a long, long time ago. Um, my understanding was that it had nothing to do. It had absolutely zero to do with the Brendan Fraser mummy movies. So, anyway. So, here we are. Oh, by the way, James, your idea about doing a kind of a World War II poster with Sam. I'm trying to find a good one that would work to adapt. So I like the idea because I love the art style in those World War II propaganda posters and morale posters and savings bonds, war bonds posters. But I really want to find one that's got a good composition that would be good to adapt to that, because most of them you really can't. It would be waist up for Sam, and then it's just just a female. We want to try to find one that's can be adapted so that you can see that. That she is a centaur. So. Well, the Rosie the Riveter, that famous one, We Can Do It. You don't see her from. You only see her from the waist, from the mid torso up. So again, like I said, you really wouldn't see that it's that there's anything unusual to Sam. But now that I think about it, that could be something that could tie into to year two. Which I need to get back on, honestly. In a way, there's so much that I love about drawing on paper, but there are some things about it that I wish I could do all digital. And backgrounds are definitely one of them. He's like that little bit of hatching right there. I would have just, dropped down onto another layer and just run right over it, because I know that the foreground layer where Sam is would cover that up. But you make do with what you got. And I'm just going to let that pun just go right there, Tom. Just gonna let it stay right there. Okay. So yeah, I definitely need to get the royalty-free music playing in the background. Oh, brother, did you come to the wrong place, James? Deep artistic merits of my cartooning? Right. Remember, I bill myself on here as the crackpot cartoonist, so where that came from. where that came from was back in the late 80s. After I graduated from college, I went back. I had a job back home in Dalton, Georgia, which is where I'm from. And I had somehow managed to find a bunch of other people there in Dalton, and I don't even remember how we got together, but they were also owners of Amiga computers. So we formed a little users group. It was called DAUG, Dalton Amiga Users Group, DAUG. And we did a newsletter that we for ourselves and for others. We sent it. We did exchanges with other users groups, and I volunteered to do a cartoon, a Amiga oriented cartoon. Usually some kind of swipe at how cheesy PCs were, or how terrible Commodore was at marketing this our beloved Amiga computer. And we did that. One of our members was working for Shaw Industries. So we would go over to, and his job was he did the newsletter for Shaw, the in-house newsletter, because now it's a magazine that they do, because they're such a big company. But so he had his computer was a Mac 2, and he had PageMaker. I mean, like I said, this was 1989, 1988, 1988, 1989. And so we were producing our Amiga Users Group newsletter on a Mac. And we were over there, and it was late one night. We were putting together, and I had my cartoon, and we scanned it and put it in there. And one of the members wrote for the byline by the crackpot cartoonist, and so I just kind of I thought it was funny, and so I just kind of adopted it as, yep, that's me, the crackpot cartoonist. All right, this is one of the worst hand positions, because it never looks right. I may go in and redo that in Photoshop, because it just it looks like a claw more than a hand. Reminds me of the joke they did on Get Smart about the head of Chaos, the claw. No, not the craw, the craw. You could never do that joke on network television today. Either y'all have nothing to say or I've finally bored you all to sleep. Which is it? Actually, speaking of laugh tracks, a little bit interesting bit of trivia. Most of the laughter in laugh tracks came from the Red Skelton show. Which is why laugh tracks have sounded the same for the last 40 plus years. But all of us old farts here will probably remember that Red Skelton used to do a pantomime bit. Called the silent spot that he would do in just about every show. And the laughter was taken from those segments because there was no dialogue. So they were able to get an actual studio audience reaction without having to worry about stepping over any well, I always thought that Red Skelton's jokes were for the birds, Two seagulls, Gertrude Heathcliff. And that was my very bad Red Skelton impression. Of course, if I wanted to do an impression of Red Skelton, I'd just laugh at my own jokes. Okay, there's that. No, nobody wants... No, please don't pull out Uncle Milty. Oh, forgot the back of her head. I think I got all the little bits and pieces there. All right, so there's that. All right, now let that dry so I don't have a repeat of this. Yeah, I definitely am going to need to redo all of this, how this works technically here. But, I will in time. I may get I've got a mixer board here. So I may move this mic into that and add a lavalier and feed that in to the audio. But I really would like to get a new permanent streaming computer, so I don't have to use the laptop. Main reason is because of I guess I can put my glasses back on. The main reason is screens. I don't have that many screens here. I just have, the computer, the laptop computer, and then there's another screen that's what I've been looking at over here. Is a laptop, is a screen connected to the laptop. What I wanted to do was I've got a very small screen up here that's in my line of sight, and I wanted to have that there for the questions and the stuff like that. But problem is, where is it? The problem with it is that the connector is on this little bitty monitor is VGA, and nothing goes to VGA anymore. Nothing. It's hard to find a VGA adapter. I had gotten a VGA to DVI connector to connect to Streamy, and let's see. And also, I don't want this computer up here. I don't. It's in the way. I had so many cables in here, but I wasn't able to hook it up the way I wanted to, and this is not really optimal. And I don't want this camera up here. I want it down here so that I'm not having to look up like that. The problem is, and I'll just take the camera down and show you. The problem is lights. Whoa! See, there's the light. There's the monitor that I was talking about. Those, and there's a fly in here. I already killed one of you. But I've got these lights. These are LED lights, and they put out a lot of. They're actually put out quite a bit of light here. The plan was to put the down here, but there's a really bad glare. Or there was. Yeah, no, there it is. It's still there. See, there's just that glare. The lights need to be a little higher up in order to work properly and do what I really want them to do. Zombie fly. Okay, well, believe it or not, this has been up and running for an hour and 3 minutes so far. So that's, I think that proves that the internet connection problem is fixed. Now I've just got to work out the logistics of everything. So that pretty much wraps up, I think, is pretty much all I got for tonight. I do appreciate all of you watching, all three of you. Seriously, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate your support and your friendship. It means a lot, and I'm glad that you were here to egg me on as I did this. This was fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of them. Now tomorrow, yes, Seth Brundle. Don't make me do my Jeff Goldblum impression. There's no step 3. There's no step 3. Anyway, next time will be Thursday. I'm going to be tomorrow night at this time. I will be at our cartoonist group meeting down in Atlanta, and I'm going to shoot some footage there and have it here. But I don't think I'll be back in time to do a live show. Let me move this out of the way. I don't think I'll be back in time to do a live show, so I'm not going to count on doing a live show tomorrow. I will do one Thursday and Friday, but there will be a show tomorrow. It just won't be live. No, Tom. That's a. Well, actually, I take it back. I was going to say that's a Christopher Walken impression, but a Christopher Walken impression is when you use too much pronunciation. Uh, anyway, okay, so that's the thing that's gonna do it for tonight. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you again for being here. I'm still working the bugs out of this, and it's just teething pains, but we'll get it figured out. And so again, thank you for watching. And for those of you who are watching this on a replay, thank you for watching that. And we'll see you on Thursday. Live on Thursday. Until then, good night. And there's the button. Push the button, Frank.